Hey, and welcome back to the Fully Booked Photographer podcast. And it's great to be back with you. And this week, we just have the three musketeers. We've lost an amigo. Janina's not with us, but we're still going to have a great conversation. We're going to have great fun. We're going to talk about something that's really, really, really important. We're going to talk about if you build it, hoping they will come, will not work. So you've got to have a proactive marketing system in your business. So, Brad, just talk to us a little bit about what is a proactive marketing system, because I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, wonderful question, Ronan. And it's funny because I've never known. I don't know what the opposite of proactive is. I've always done proactive marketing, always. So to me, when most photographers we speak to don't actually proactively market, and by that we mean go out and find your customers. That's proactive marketing. It's prospecting. We are actively advertising our services to get people to put their hands up, to get them to become a lead wherever that could be. In the olden days, that was postal drops and stands at fairs and all types of things. And now it's majority Facebook and digital marketing to become leads so we can have conversations, because that's where the vast majority of my clients come from. And especially if you want to build a scalable and consistent business, you need a proactive marketing strategy, because relying on customers to come to you from things like SEO and just Google searches, they're just waking up on a morning, suddenly deciding they want to have a photography session, is it's not going to work. It'll get you so far, and if you can deliver to those clients, and you've got a really great sales process, so you can get good average orders from them, you can actually build quite a sizable business without proactive marketing. But to scale it and make it consistent, so it's month in, month out, so that your cash flow remains the same, then proactive marketing is the only thing that's going to get you there.
So, Jonathan, Brad's talked a whole lot of things about some really important points in there. Everything from cash flow to being fully booked to consistency to sustainability. A whole load of key important words, right? That proactive marketing helps solve, because we often see photographers suffering what we call the roller coaster effect, right? So they're, not very busy. So they get out into their community, they do some networking and stuff, try and build up some business. So they get busy again. And then, of course, all that marketing or that networking stops, because I'm now busy servicing the client and delivering for the client and getting everything ready for the client. And we have this roller coaster of no business, being very, very busy, no business again, being very, very busy, no business again. So just talk to us, Jonathan, from your experience of seeing underneath the bonnet of so many photography businesses now, in both our concierge service, where you're running the Facebook marketing for photographers, and then of course all of our photographers are in our hive who've trained and implemented our proactive marketing systems.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to proactively marketing your business, there are nuances to it. Like, there are little things that are different than when you have someone who comes in through a Google search or a referral, or they find your website somehow, or they see you, they follow you in social media. It is different, because when someone comes to you on your website or fills in a form of your website, or they're actively searching for you, not for you, but for what you offer, they're more educated and they think they know what they want, right? And they've done some research, so they may have spoken to other photography businesses, and they'll have an understanding of the pricing to an extent, and they'll have an understanding of the types of services, and they're actively seeking a photography service for a certain genre. Now, when you proactively when you do that, your market size is limited, and you're not in control of the volume of sessions you do every month, because you're reliant on people actually seeking what you offer. And you're also you're going to have those swings and roundabouts in your calendar. You know, it's going to be volatile in terms of the amount of bookings you have. And what that causes is it causes you to have to work really hard. You know, if you're going out and you're networking, or you're trying to build relationships, or you're building those, you know, alliances, or your SEO, or that type of thing, that's hard work. You know, a lot of hours, and people don't measure that cost per hour, that dollar per hour that is costing you in time to actually do that. And when you proactively market, you're advertising to a much wider audience. But in my opinion, to be able to do that effectively, a couple of mindset shifts have to take place. You have to realize that most people aren't seeking photography for the photographs. They're seeking photography for something else. And when you realize that and you make that adjustment, you expand your available audience size. That's one thing I would say. Another thing, Brad, we see is when you proactively market, people don't understand that, you know, these people aren't going to book themselves in. You have to put some work into your follow-up. You have to call people. You have to have conversations. They're not going to answer the first time. Some might. Most won't. You're going to have to call them again. You're going to have to vary your call time. You're going to have email and text follow-ups. You might have to reach out to them on Messenger. You have to be proactive. You have to put in some work to actually earn that conversation with people. And Brad, that's something that we see with our members who, you know, they haven't been exposed to that. They have no exposure to that style of marketing. So they don't realize that this is what it takes. And this is what you and Janine do in your business, right?
It is. It's you know, they're blissfully unaware, to use a term we've thrown around an awful lot. But they are blissfully unaware of what it means to actually proactively market a business. And again, it just comes down to exposure. Because you think your clients that are coming to you that want this experience, that might have been referred by a friend, are going to have the same enthusiasm and knowledge base as somebody who's completely blind, who's seen an offer on Facebook and has put the hand up. The two are completely different. And I've always preferred proactive marketing over clients coming to me or referrals or anything like that, for the pure reason that I like control and I am in full control of those leads. It's quite funny because we speak to quite a lot of members and they think the opposite. They much prefer the leads when they come to them through their website because they feel like they have more control that way, and the proactive stuff they don't, because they're getting a whole load of people who aren't their client. But my viewpoint, my argument is that I know that if I generate 100 leads, 50% aren't going to be my ideal client market, aren't going to be my client, but 50% have the potential to be. And it's that 50% that I have to find. And sometimes it's not really easy just looking at the leads. Sometimes you have to make a phone call and have a conversation to find out if they're going to be a client or not. And I much prefer that because I have all the control on the educational piece. Whereas a lot of the clients who come to me via my website or even through referrals, they're going to get information from a secondary source that's not me. Whenever you're training staff, a big thing to always teach staff is that everybody has to say the same thing. So I'm in a business with my parents and my wife now. We all sing off the same hymn sheet. We all say the same thing, because somebody phones up and my dad says something and they come into the studio, my mum says something completely different. It makes us look fools, but at the same time, that could cause problems. And because I'm used to that, then the control of that proactive marketing is better for me, rather than clients coming in from seeing a really old landing page and getting the wrong idea, or talking to somebody else and then not giving them the full story and only having half information. I've always preferred proactive marketing. And I think a lot of photographers would as well, but you just have to get over that hurdle of fear, and at the same time that hurdle of work, because it is work. But the more you do it, and most of our members, you can see that change happen from them doing the work, not liking it, but then seeing a result from it, and then because they enjoy the result, they then enjoy the work. So it's something you have to persevere with.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Brad, isn't it? That like there's no silver bullet here, but if you're serious about creating a sustainable, profitable business, you have to be driving the car, right? You have to be flying the airplane. It's your airplane, it's your car. You've got to be in control. And if you're going to rely on your clients to refer you or somebody to get some idea that they might need you and they find you on Google. We're not saying that that's wrong, but you can't create a business you're in control of. You're not driving your car. You're not flying your airplane if you're relying solely on that.
And I see that in every photography group I've ever been in, for the last decade, is photographers always saying, I'm quieter now. Why? How busy is everybody else? And essentially they're just looking for confirmation bias because they want other people to not be busy. So then they feel better about themselves not being busy. But it's like that. It's that wheel that will always keep turning unless something changes. Because if you're not busy, then you could probably start worrying that, well, if somebody else is not busy, then it's the economy or it's the weather we're having right now. Nobody's going to book a session with rain like this for the next couple of weeks. So you look for the other reason as to why you don't have clients coming in. Whereas I and a lot of our members, my own studio, I was living in a little bubble. I didn't come out of a bubble for years. I came out of a bubble and met Steve Saporito and Ronan Rowell, and here I am. But before that, our weeks were always fully booked. Our months were always fully booked. I started having conversations with the photographers, and they used to tell me that August was really difficult. August and September were really hard to book in because of school holidays, and January was really tough because it was after Christmas. And I didn't know any of that. That wasn't my weeks were the exact same, or my months were the same. It was dependent on how many sessions I booked. It was just the same. There was maybe a 10% swing, but that's what proactive marketing gave me. And it's what being in a little bubble and not listening to all the people moaning and looking for confirmation bias and looking for excuses to why they're not busy. When if you have a system to market and you deploy it and you use it, then there's no reason you can't be busy. And we've seen that hundreds of times with our members.
Yeah, and we've also seen the people who've come in and have given up. Jonathan, what do you think is and go on and say, this Facebook marketing doesn't work. What is the biggest reason, Jonathan, that you've seen for people coming in and trying it and just giving up?
It comes down to your mindset. It comes down to realizing that in life there's no such thing as a silver bullet in any industry. And the story, I don't really like talking about myself, but the story that reminds me of that is my journey in the affiliate world. When I first started that, I failed epically for 2 years. And then after 2 years, I was, in the affiliate community we had, one of the superstars brought on as a mentor, one of the, people that others wanted to work with and learn from. And they didn't see the 2 years of failing and the 2 years of figuring out what didn't work to get there. And I think that, when I first started my journey in the affiliate world, my mentors had 3 phrases. They had, you got to take massive action. You got to put in the work. And that applies to any business, in any industry, in any world. You got to stay laser focused. So a lot of people try something. They try it once. It doesn't work out for them. So they move on to the next great thing or shiny object that's been marketed. And 3 was never give up. Because when you give up, that's it, you're done. So taking those 3 things into account, yes, you may hit it out of the park on the first go. But as Brad says, a lot of it comes down to this word exposure. And I think in a couple of minutes, Brad, you should explain what you mean by exposure, because you learn the most by implementing and making micro adjustments and improvements. And it can be painful. And sometimes as well, One thing I noticed in the photography industry is that, like I kind of alluded to early on, the percentage, and I know Steve uses this figure that 5% of people are actively seeking photography. And that when you realize who your clients actually are and what you're doing by creating transformational client experiences, you broaden that available market size. Because when you realize you're not in the business of photography, you're in the business of people, and that you're helping to elevate people, helping people to feel more loved, to feel confident, to reconnect with their loved one, to understand the incredible relationship they have with their dog or their pet. When you do that and you realize that you can use the art and science of photography to create a transformational experience that results in that, that 5% becomes 95%. Because who doesn't want more love? Who doesn't want more connection? Who doesn't want more confidence, more self-belief? Or who doesn't want to celebrate themselves? And for me, and because Brad does this with his boudoir clients, is that when you kind of realize that and you tailor your messaging and your ads to that avatar, and your conversations are built around creating those great clients and helping them to see that they value themselves and they value, that they can be confident by having this experience, that's when the magic happens. And I think what's really difficult sometimes for people coming in, like so many educators in our industry talk about the fact that we're a luxury, that photographers are a luxury brand, and that it's all about me and my amazing artwork and my amazing art, and that I have to educate my clients about my value as a photographer. That's the complete reverse of what we believe as difference makers. And the challenging part about that is that when you try and educate people about your value, one, they don't give a crap. Is that a curse word? Am I allowed to say that? They don't give a crap about you. People want to know what's in it for them. And secondly, you have to sell at them, which is hard. You have to convince and persuade. But when you help your clients elevate their value, see their true value, see what this is going to do to their value, then what you do becomes priceless. So your advertising becomes easier, your market size broadens, and your mindset switches and changes. So I know this was a little bit off the subject of proactive marketing, but I think it's linked in with the whole, everything you're trying to achieve. And when it comes to exposure, I'm going to let Brad talk about that, because Brad, you talk about it all the time. Just, I think people have to have exposure to that.
Yes, very, very well said, Jonathan. Very well said. I do think it's important to the essence of proactive marketing, because if you don't know, I always say intention is everything. If you don't have the right intent going into proactive marketing, then it will probably fail for you, because I see a lot of people doing it because they think it's going to be a silver bullet, because they think it's going to be easy, because they think they're perfect clients go walk right up to them and spend $5,000. Doesn't happen. Great clients are made, not found. We have to put that effort in to transform somebody's life. So the intent is everything, not in everything we do, not just proactive marketing. And I do bash a big drum of exposure. It became like my favorite word, probably still is my favorite word on most used word. Because for me, exposure is also experience. And I don't look at years as experience, especially being a photographer. So I was having a conversation with a photographer the other day who told me that they'd had, I had a slight disagreement. I can have slight disagreements with photographers from time to time about handling clients, and they told me that they had 10 years worth of experience in handling clients, and they do 15 clients. No, they did 30 clients a year on average, so that's 300 clients. My business used to do 150 a month, so in 2 months, I've equated their exposure to 2 clients, and now the revenue we earned and the business we ran completely different. But in communication and having the ability to communicate somebody through an entire experience and deliver them said experience and help them achieve something and get a sale at the end of it. Like, years don't matter. You could be doing it 10 years and have no experience. Like actually going out and communicating with clients and delivering a service to them and then selling to them and then zooming out and looking at like, right, what went great, what went bad, how can we make it better? It is what will make you deliver to your clients in the best way possible. So years for me don't equate experience or exposure. It's how many people you actually serve. That's what truly matters. And to what level you serve them as well. So, and I say that because, you know, I know I'll hear it because I hear it often, but a lot of photographers will say when we talk about proactive marketing, it's like, well, I've been doing this 10 years, I've been doing this 15 years, I've been doing this 20 years. I've never needed it, or I've never done this, or, you know, this is wrong. It's like, well, you know, me and Jonathan have been using proactive marketing in our own respective worlds, and have done wonderfully with it, wonderfully. And you just need to get over that hump, you know, that like 3 to 6 month hump of getting over yourself to actually make phone calls and engage with clients and help them transform. And ultimately, you know, if it's not a plug for membership, but like we help members do this, you know, day to day, week to week for 4 years now. So you don't have to make the same mistakes me and Jonathan have done. You know, he had 2 years of failure. I had, my failure wasn't 2 years, but like 50%. I used to always say 50% of my ads would fail and 50% would work, and you just got to figure out which one's which, and then keep doing that. So yeah, you are going to fail, but you're going to fail at anything. But if you want to build a scalable business, you have to, and a business that you're in control of, you have to have a system to market.
So, Jonathan, you talked a bit earlier about, you were talking about confidence, and confidence can come from what Brad is talking about, exposure to doing it, you know, and learning it and building your confidence around that. But you also talked about burn and run, you know, that many photographers burn and run, so they get the client in, they get paid, and they run, and that those clients have no intention of ever coming back again, right? And my question to you is, you obviously need a certain level of confidence, right, to engage with your clients, to have quality conversations with them from the leads you generate with your proactive marketing. And we see many photographers who give up on it, right? They don't want to do it. Is that a lack of confidence and belief in what they truly do for people as photographers?
Oh, that's an amazing question. That's a really great question, because I think that it's easier to pick up the phone and call people, because that's where most people struggle with, is actually just picking up the phone and calling. We've seen it over the last 4 years. That's a common area of challenges. And I think that when you realize that it's not about you, that this is for your client, you're doing this for your client, and when you realize that your client has responded to your marketing, they've raised their hand, they've put in their contact details, they want to be interrupted. You know, people are going through the boring, mundane processes of life. They want to hear from you. They want to be interrupted. That's when the shift begins mentally. And you got to realize that this isn't about you. And we see it with our members all the time when they have this realization. You know, and they have that belief that what they do has an impact on their clients' lives. Because I think, Ronan, you can probably tell a great story that a lot of photographers probably have a fear of rejection, and they have a fear that they're not good enough, and they have a fear that, you know, their art isn't good enough. But when they shift that focus and realize that it's not about that, It's about making a difference to your client, and this is all about your client. I think it becomes easier and begins that process of a mindset shift towards being more confident. That's the first thing you have to realize. And then the second thing, like Brad says, is experience and exposure. Just doing it. You'll begin to realize, oh, it's like when you see a really famous person, right? Or not even a really famous person. You see someone who you respect, look up to, and you think they're famous, and you're afraid to talk to them, and then you somehow find yourself at that level and you're talking to them and you realize they're just normal people just like you. It's kind of like that. When you get exposure and experience to it, you build that confidence as well. But yeah, it stems from yourself and realizing what your intention is, like Brad said.
So to do proactive marketing, then what you guys have said is, I've got to find a way to make it not about me. I've got to realize that my client transformational experience is about delivering value to a client through that experience. That's not about photography. That's not about the art. That's not about the frame. That's not about whether it's a canvas or an acrylic. That's about what that work means to that client and how that work reminds them every day when they see it of how the transformation experience has made them feel. So in the case of somebody who was lacking confidence, maybe be a type of client Brad gets, they've just lost their confidence, life has gone in the way, they come in for their boudoir experience, they feel so confident after that boudoir experience and feel in love with themselves again, so that they can not only love themselves again, but can be loved again. And that the artwork that they invest with Brad and have displayed in their home is every day they see that reminds them that they do deserve to love themselves and be loved again, and gives them the confidence to go out into the world with that smile on their face that I am confident. I'm not sure what question I was going to ask now. I went on a ramble there. So,
but just to come in on something there, I think, one thing, Brad, that we see as well is that people don't understand the goal of this stage of the transformational experience. Marketing is the first step, and the goal of your marketing is to attract avatars and earn conversations with avatars you want to work with every day. It's not to attract clients. That's not what your marketing does. Your marketing is just attracting avatars who you can earn a conversation with to then begin the process of creating a great client. And that's something that people mess up all the time internally in their head. They're not aware of.
And to come on that, it comes down to, I see it all the time, a definition of what a qualified lead is. And a qualified lead to me is somebody who's filled a form out and stuck their hand up. That's a qualified lead. That's somebody saying, hey, this offer is interesting. Can you please contact me about it? That's a qualified lead. And I think a lot of photographers believe a qualified lead is somebody who desperately, desperately wants to have this experience because the photographer is incredible and they think their work's amazing. And they already know exactly what they're going to spend, and it's going to be a $5,000 sale. And they live in the zip code or the postcode area that's desirable, and they drive a great car. And they've got friends who they can introduce as well. And the list goes on and on and on and on of what a qualified lead is. And to me, it's just somebody who wants to give me the opportunity to do business with. That's it. Somebody who's put a hand up that I can have a conversation with and find out if we can help serve them. That's it. So I think there's a big misunderstanding of what lead is and what a qualified lead is. Because for me, a lead is somebody's data, but they've not put their hand up for a service. That could be a lead you've bought. Or you're emailing out you've bought the data of an email list and you're emailing that out. They're to me are leads, and a qualified lead is somebody who's given you their details and said, yes, I'm interested in this offer. I think if photographers... sorry, go on, Ron.
So I have a question for you guys then. So, nearly every industry you look out to, every business knows this. So why is it such an unknown thing in the photography world that this is what marketing is about. What is it about our industry that is unique, that we think that we don't need to do proactive marketing? What is driving that?
I smile because it's my favourite word, and it's exposure. And I can answer that, or I can give my opinion. I just think that our industry, in the grand scheme of things, is quite small, and there's a lot of industries just like ours. We're small businesses. Sometimes under 100,000 could be to a couple of 100,000. Now, I've ran a business multiple six figures for years, and I know photographers who do the same, and who are on the road to 1 million plus. But the vast majority of photographers operate smaller businesses. Um, I just think they haven't had the experience, nor sometimes the need to go out and market, or they don't know anybody who goes out to market. Because when I learned how to proactively market, there was nobody teaching it. It was just, I need to get clients in. Let's try this Facebook thing. I'll put some words in this ad thing. I'll give it some money, and I'll see what happens. But I think moving forward, we can actually make really positive change. Because by doing this podcast, we can communicate that proactive marketing will give you freedom if that's what you want. It can give you anything you want, because it'll enable your business to sustain yourself and your family.
So, Jonathan, I think it'd be great to give an example, right? So we don't have to mention the photographer necessarily, but just the journey she's been on with her proactive marketing, and where she's designed a life that she now loves, and the year she had in 2023, and the fact that she fulfilled her dream of the amount of holiday time she managed to take to spend just on holidays and with family who are spread all over the world. Just talk to us.
Yeah, so one of our clients, who's amazing to work with, her in terms of the transformation she's been on, it's been mostly mindset. And in terms of tangible results, yes, she had her best year ever in 2023. 2024 is off to an amazing start in terms of bookings and running her marketing. And in terms of the business she's built is a decent sized business. I'll share that number. It's been just over 300,000 revenue for the year, and she's working by herself. She now is a part-time staff member she took on in October. And she had 16 weeks vacation in 2023.
And she works from home. And she works from home.
And she works from home. Yeah, she works from home too. And yeah, like I said, it was her best year ever. And the biggest reason for that, in my opinion, is that she worked a lot on her mindset. When it came to the marketing, initially there was fun with building that proactive marketing mindset that, yes, I have to actually contact these people and follow them up, and I have to have these calls and conversations. When she first started working with us in that context, she was afraid to have the calls. That was one thing she told us, that she wanted accountability to actually doing the calls. She pushed herself to do them, and she gained exposure, as Brad said, and she improved. And she's trained with everyone on the Difference Maker Revolution team, including Steve Safarito. So she implements the entire system in her business. A lot of her leads come from Facebook ads, and she understands the lead. She's never once told us or blamed the leads for her ability to book people and create great clients. Her average has tripled since, or maybe even more for certain genres, since that time period. And the biggest thing is her mindset. So she always asks the question, okay, this went wrong with this client. I had a no sale, or a client wanted to cancel. What did I do wrong? Let me go back. Let me listen to the recording of the phone call. Was it me? Was it my assistant, who's now doing the calls for her? What went wrong in the conversation with the client? What did I do wrong? what did I fail to notice? What in that client transformational experience, those 10 stages of delivering a client transformation experience, where did I not deliver for that client? What did I mess up? Or what did, someone like my assistant mess up? Or what didn't go right? And how can I fix that? How can I make that better? And it's not about dwelling on the past. It's about learning from it and making the adaptations necessary to improve it going forward and to try and make sure it doesn't happen going forward. And like, no matter what you do, it's not going to be perfect. You're never going to absolutely perfect it. And it's a living, breathing part of your business. But for me, it's that mindset of understanding that and being willing to work on that and not be afraid to fail occasionally. That's allowed her to create the business she desires. Like, incredible.
So guys, if you would like to know more about what we've talked about on this podcast, all you have to do is go to the differencemakerrevolution.com website. And when you go there, you just need to click the button to join our group, Difference Maker Revolution, on Facebook. And we have a very big surprise coming for everybody who's in that group, because at Imaging USA, we will be launching our training, our first Difference Maker training, which is the fully booked photographer team that you're talking to here, and Janine, along with Steve Saprito of Steve Saprito Education. And we're launching absolutely free to you training that will get you started with becoming a difference maker and building the business that you love while living your passion as a difference maker and creating the life you love. So join us. All you have to do is go to the show notes below and go to differencemakerrevolution.com. And we look forward to working with you. We will do everything possible to help you become the difference maker you can become too. From me, bye for now.
See you, everyone.
See you later, everybody.